Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again to talk about Madame Claude on Netflix. Now, first off, if you notice, I'm talking a little differently. I had a root canal done yesterday, and so I don't want to really strain my mouth too much like I usually do with the blabbering and the, complaining. And so that's why I'm talking a little bit differently for now. Just wanted to make that clear. Anyways, yeah. This Madame Claude movie, it's basically about this, it's a real life story, and it's about this, what do you call them? She's she's a madam. I was like, I'm here to talk about Madame Claude. And then what do you call them? What do you call the heads of the... Oh. She's a madam. Okay. Let's talk about Madame Claude. She's a madam, and she's a French madam, and I'm so sorry. She's a French madam, and she has this exclusive high-end clientele business where she has these girls who are very sophisticated. They're meant to be fucked by rich people, not high people, rich people, and people of that nature. And she even does missions, these secret missions where one of her girls will get fucked by a guy in power that they don't want in power, and then they'll assassinate him, or they'll do something with blackmail. There's all sorts of shit that she does. And basically the main story is that there's this new girl who comes in, played, and now this is the only reason I watched this movie, to be quite honest. Because I wouldn't have known about it unless I saw it on her Instagram. But this movie has the lovely Garance Marillier from Raw in it. And that is the only reason I watched this movie, because she is smoking hot. And she was great in Raw in terms of acting. In this movie, she wasn't as good, which I'll talk about. But she's this new girl who comes in, and she gets real close to her. It's that sort of cliche where the young person comes in and gets in close with the older, experienced boss, and then there's a betrayal, kind of, but it's not really on purpose. And so, yeah, that's really the story. And unfortunately, it was not that good. It wasn't as good as it could have been. This movie, I'm telling you, it had the potential to be Goodfellas level good. It was a great story that was wasted with this sort of... And now let me get into foreign movies, cliches. Because there's cliches for every type of movie. American movies, stupid! That type of thing. And foreign movies, a lot of foreign movies, a cliche will be that they're boring, that they're overly depressing, and they're very dry. They're very just stuffy type of films. This movie is very dry, very stuffy, and very boring, and unfortunately, it's not as depressing as it could have been because of the script. And now, And now here's the thing, though. And I'm not saying every foreign movie is boring and dry. Not at all. Because I've seen tons of great foreign films. I'm just saying that those are some cliches and they sort of fit this movie. And, I could see a French class watching this movie in school somewhere. Somewhere where they would let them watch this type of movie. And now the plot is the problem because of it's hard to explain. The script was not as good as it could have been because it didn't really have a story, like a very clear story, but it more so felt like it was just, how would you say it? It's like you're dipping into this world of prostitution. Sort of like the Godfather type thing, where it's like, oh, look, here's a sex scene, here's another sex scene, here's another sex scene, here's another sex scene. It's like over and over and over again. And then in the last act, where stuff actually happens, where it really gets into doing a lot of stuff to make the plot move forward, you don't really care because the whole movie has just been pointless, plotless spectacle. This movie was a slog. It felt so much longer than it was, which is funny because this movie is more boring than Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I haven't reviewed that yet. But that movie is a lot better than this. But even so, this movie, it's really boring, and yet it's 2 hours shorter than that movie. And so that's just hilarious because people always talk about nowadays, movies shouldn't be over 1 hour and 30 minutes because that's too much. That's just too much. You just need to do the movie and go. Well, this movie did the movie and went, and it was not as good as that Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was 4 hours long. I mean, how do you make a 2 hour movie that's more boring than a 4 hour movie? That's not it's impressive, I guess you could say, but it's not the greatest thing to be proud of. So, wait a second. Marco, you're being a jackass. I heard someone say today, I'm the Debbie Downer of movies, which is just so untrue. I mean, you look at my reviews like Bully and top 10 movies of the decade. It's clear that when I like movies, I'll talk about how much I like them. But this movie, well, let's talk about the stuff I liked. Wow, that's hard. Okay. Wow. Stuff I liked. Okay, there was that fruit. No. See, it's really hard. Okay. Well, there were some very good scenes with Gareth Marillier. I like those scenes. They weren't scenes where the plot happened. There were very nice scenes, though. And everything I could have asked for, I guess. I guess you could say that. And then I didn't like the actress who played Madame Claude for the first 2 acts, but I really liked her in the 3rd act, where she showed a lot of her humanity. Throughout most of the movie, she's very robotic and boring and just... But then in the last act, it's like, oh, all of a sudden she's a character. And so, yeah, she got really good in the 3rd act. I really liked the 3rd act. The 3rd act got pretty good. It still wasn't great as it could have been, but it was better than the rest of the film. What else did I like? I liked the music when it came on. The music, this movie had music. It had some really good music, like some 80s keyboard. Like, it was good music. and it made you feel something a little bit. But they wouldn't play it very much. They'd play it in little spurts. They'd have like 20 minutes of stuff happening, and then all of a sudden, for like 5 minutes, and then 20 more minutes of stuff happening, but not really stuff is actually happening, and then all of a sudden, and so yeah, very strange choices of where to put the music in this film. Is there anything else? No. There's nothing else that I liked. So let's talk about the rest. Let's talk about what I didn't like, because, well, I'll say this. Okay, one last nice thing. This movie is better than I Care a Lot. For one reason, because the main character isn't an unlikable bitch. And I Care a Lot, it's really funny because the actress who played the girlfriend in I Care a Lot, she's so delusional that she actually thought that that woman was going to be likable, and that she was going to be some sort of a character you can that you can go along with and support, which is just hilarious. That's a separate topic. I actually shot a video on that, and then I deleted it because I got too angry at that. But yeah, in this movie, since this actually happened, this woman is a real person. She was a real person, and I felt for her, and I liked her as a character. And if you had her origin, if you had all the stuff before she was this madam, and you had like a journey like Goodfellas, I would have really liked this movie a lot. And yeah, so there was potential there for a great movie. That's another thing too. Down to the negatives. Time for the negatives from Mr. Debbie Downer of movies. Which there are a lot of negatives. This movie, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't even happen on screen. It happens through narration. That guy went to prison. He went right to prison. And then, like, I used to be a lover. I used to like people. And then I became a madam. Like, all this narration of telling us instead of showing us. And it just very weird choices with the narration of, instead of actually showing us plot, you have this narration telling us what happened or what's happening. I did not like that at all. I thought that was very sad that they took that great story, potentially good story, and they just ruined it by just not even showing it. And wow, there's so much to talk about. Where to begin? This movie had too much sex stuff in it, in terms of, it was very romantic, it was hot, it was steamy, it was it was porno. It was like porn. And, there's nothing wrong with that, but this story is supposed to be showing that this was not good. That she was doing this because she was basically, like, it was a business. It was like her achieving success through this business. But it was shown, like, to be really, really hot. And that really did not help the plot of the movie. And then there would be these little parts where it would not be hot. It would be like a woman would get hit. She would get ambushed and, I guess, gang raped. And, obviously that's not hot, even if it's fake. And so it was very weird, the sort of the vibe that this movie, because, again, this movie should have been Goodfellas, but instead it was like Godfather in a bad way. It was very romantic in the perspective that they showed of this business. And I don't think that was good. And then they would have a lot of sex scenes that didn't even have anything to do with the business. And so, yeah, there was just a lot of that, and it was just very unnecessary. But it's fine with me because I guarantee that this will be the only movie with sex scenes that I see all year. I mean, you just think about all these shitty American movies. They refuse to show sex scenes. They refuse to show women naked nowadays because, it's just, you can't do that anymore. It's 2021. We gotta stop objectifying. Fuck that shit. Because this movie has, okay, that's a different topic. There's just so much stuff to talk about with this movie. It's opened up so many different avenues of filmmaking, everything in general. Because another thing with this movie is that as I said, it's a slog, and which is interesting because it doesn't show her full story. It only shows stuff for plot convenience. It shows stuff to tell the story that the writer wanted to tell. And so it's weird how boring it was. And I don't know, it was just very boring. And in terms of Garance Marillier, she was just not good. Her character was supposed to be this spoiled, rich brat, and she did not really come off as that at all. I mean, she more so came off as like as the madam said, a pussy prodigy type thing. Like that's what she was like. She wasn't like a rich, spoiled brat in this movie, not at all. She was nowhere near Veruca Salt type of character, which is what she should have been, since that's who she was, I guess, in real life. And there's this really, and I guess it happened in real life, but there's this really stupid cliche plot where she falls in love with Madame Claude, and there's this terrible scene near the end of the film with Garance. And I hope I'm saying her name right, because I still think she's a good actress, and she didn't do horrible in this movie. It's just she didn't really fit the part. But there's this awful scene where she's on the phone in a phone booth speaking to the madam, or maybe not speaking. Like, it's not really made clear if the madam ever responds. It sounded like she's just leaving a message, and she's like pouring her heart out and saying like, "It finally happened. My dad finally went to prison, and I was happy all because of you, and I loved you, but I didn't want to be with you anymore because you would have hurt me like you hurt everyone. You hurt yourself, and you hurt everyone." Best actress. Okay, let's all clap. Best actress award goes to... No. That scene was terrible. That was so bad. That was like a parody of Oscar bait scenes. And it's sad because, again, if you had a better actress for this role in this part, it would have been pretty good. So yeah, overall, this was not a great film. It was very disappointing. It had the potential to be so much better than it actually was. And I mean, let's get to the villain. The villain is Garance Marillier's dad, who is this rich guy. And basically, all because of him, Madam's business goes to hell. And she ends up having to flee to Los Angeles, and then she gets sent back to France to serve prison time, and it's like this just complete downfall of life. And the dad is responsible. Well, the dad is hardly in the film, and when he is, he's really not that effective at being a good villain. I mean, I'll probably forget about him when it comes around to like 2022, when I'm ranking top 10 movies, top 10 worst. I'll probably forget that he was even in the movie. I mean, he was just so forgettable and just so. I mean, he looked weird, I guess you could say. Like, he looked gross. He looked like a creepy snail or something. I guess you could say that. But still, a lot of the guys in the movie looked like creepy snails. So I don't know. I don't know. What would I rate this movie in terms of food, though? I would rate this movie, man, this is the definition of wedding cookies. If you've never had a wedding cookie, it's basically a very dry, boring, white cookie with powdered sugar on top. Now, the powdered sugar is Garrett's Marillier, and the cookie is the plot, which had the potential to be good, but it was just not good. It was boring. It was plain. It was dull. There was lots of cliches. It felt like, wow, I've seen this movie 1,000 times. It shouldn't feel like that. This is a very unique story. It's a very interesting story. It should feel like it's very cool to see this movie. It's like, oh wow, I'm so glad I got to hear about this amazing story. But no. So yeah, this movie is some boring ass wedding cookies. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Either way, it'll help. And then comment, tell me what you thought about Madame Claude. And then share this video with all your friends and family. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon for maybe the Concrete Cowboy review. Maybe the Zack Snyder Justice League review. Who knows? Bye.